Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm the Flimster, Derek Lemaster.
What does that even mean?
I have a cold. I've got a lot of phlegm.
What's a Flimster?
I'm the Flimster, man.
I love it.
If I ever decide to start a rap group, that's going to be my name.
Oh,
We'll be the Flimsters, and we'll have a weird cover of, like, the Flintstones.
that's what it sounds like when you say the
See if
Flimsters.
anybody
I was so
catches on.
confused.
Like a psychedelic.
This is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and Derek interrupts the flow, even though he's a rapper, of the intro. Welcome, guys. This is Season 3's premiere. We have been doing this for 3 seasons.
Yay.
Congrats, guys.
Congrats. We made it.
Look at that. Another year older. That's just what happened to us. We just get older. But for you guys that have been with us since the beginning, thank you. For all of our new fans and friends, hi, welcome.
I've got to say something since you just kind of brought this up. So I've got a template that I use every week whenever I start to edit the episode, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, I've got an old set of videos, like one of our old episodes that is the template for it. And so when I throw the videos in there, I'm like, oh, man, I've gotten so fat. So sad.
Oh my gosh.
Just see it. Yeah.
Now, when you look older, now you obviously not then, but you look older, and Lydia, you haven't really changed, but you're still like a baby. So
thanks.
It is what it is.
I look back and I see that I had like a blonde mohawk when we started.
Oh, yeah.
You did. Yeah. You also had, there was that one where you just had like, you had the blonde mohawk because first you just had the blonde hair. Yeah. Then you shaved it to a mohawk because you hated it. Then you
I go through some phases with this hair.
Yeah,
so
Derek and I's hair like changes minusculely, like it goes from longer to shorter.
Yeah, beards change.
I have a beard or I don't have one. Derek always has one. Every once in a while he doesn't.
I had a mustache in one episode.
You did. We all had mustaches. Well, Derek didn't. Derek actually clean shaved that episode. Because he was Stan, the man. So, guys, this is the way to start season 3 is with a movie picked by Derek, of course, and it is the Dwight H. Little's 1989 Phantom of the Opera starring Robert Englund. And we will get into that movie. And there's a lot to talk about with that one. A lot to talk about, I think. But before we do, let's start this season like we start every episode of the show and get into the horror news. I've actually got a shitload of horror news for some reason. It just was a busy week. So let's start with this. So Matthew Lillard and Josh Hutcherson has joined the cast of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
What are you guys' thoughts of this?
That's surprising.
Don't know who they're playing, but I mean, sure, why not, right?
I don't know anything about that franchise, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a vague understanding of what it is, but, like, Braden was super into this whenever he was a little younger. So, like, he had, like, the Five Nights at Freddy's 5, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on my mom's phone. Mm-hmm. So he played the stuff out of it. I had him explain it to me one time, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds super weird.
Yeah, basically, it's like, it's a survival horror game, and it's like the animatronics come to life after night is what I'm...
I totally thought it was like a, horror take on Chuck E. Cheese.
Kind of, yeah. Basically, yeah. The animatronics that come to life, yeah.
Yep. So,
I mean, we've kind of already had this without the Five Nights at Freddy's brand with the Nicolas Cage movie where Willy's Wonderland, where he fights off the animatronics.
What?
You've not seen that? We'll have to do that at some point. It's an interesting one.
Sounds weird.
So then there's this bit. Chris Jericho is starring in a new wrestling horror themed movie called a horror themed wrestling Wrestling themed horror movie. I can't say that. Wrestling themed horror movie called Dark Match.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, it is a small time wrestling company accept a high paying gig in a backwoods town, only to discover when they arrive that the community is run by a mysterious cult leader with devious plans for their match.
So is WWE Studio still a thing?
It is, I think. Yeah.
That's
This
curious.
isn't. I mean, this Chris Jericho is now with AEW.
Yeah.
But Derek, you said you'd be interested in this. Lydia, you probably have no interest in this whatsoever.
No, not really.
I like combining horror with anything. Horror with wrestling, bring it on. Horror
Well,
with.
I mean, you've got like people who are wrestlers, like they're interesting people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, and they've got a ton of experience in life and all like sorts of things. So to like throw them into a horror movie, that's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, especially somebody like Chris Jericho who can act and is very charismatic.
What was
Yeah.
the last thing Chris Jericho was in, you think?
I don't know what the last thing Chris Jericho was in.
What was the last movie you remember him in?
Never seen a movie with him in it.
I'm like, why do I know who he is? I don't know. I don't know why I know.
Let's see what Chris Jericho's filmography looks like here.
He also, I think he has a rock band too.
He does have a rock band,
Ah,
Fozzy. The last movie that Chris Jericho was in, he's in Terrifier 2.
I haven't seen it.
What?
Yep. He's also in Jay and Silent Reboot, Sharknado 3, MacGruber. You probably know him from MacGruber, Lydia.
I don't think so.
So I definitely bought, I'm pretty sure I bought the Jay and Silent Bob reboot just to support Kevin Smith. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to get around to it, but I'll look for Jericho.
Yeah, he's in there. Guys, you're going to love this news. So we now know that a new Fear Street movie from Netflix is coming out, directed by Chloe Akuno. So we're getting a new Fear Street. We don't have any plot or anything like that, but Chloe Akuno is a director that directed VHS 99 Storm Drain segment and the Watcher, the Netflix series, The Watcher.
Okay.
So we're moving back into Fear Street. What are you guys' thoughts?
Hell yes.
I'm there. I was so into that like little mini series.
Yes.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
It will make the show.
Yeah, it'll be on the show at some point. Definitely.
Maybe even this season. You don't know what I'm capable of.
Yeah, we're capable of anything.
I might even pull out a poop monster one of these days. Don't test me, Lydia.
Monster might be on the way.
I'm out. I'm
out for that one. I'm feeling under the weather. All right, guys. We talked about this a little bit, but now we've got a director. Filmmaker Lee Isaac Chung is in talks to direct the sequel to Twister.
Oh.
What?
We were talking about this, weren't we?
We were talking about this. Helen Hunt is coming back. Obviously, Bill Paxton cannot since he has passed. And Mark L. Smith has wrote the script.
Does he have an actual daughter or son who is acting?
I don't know. But it would be great to see their son or daughter.
It would be great if one of theirs, one of his actual children. If that's a thing, I know.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of. I actually saw an article where it was like, oh, there's celebrities and they're kid actors. So. Anyway.
The first Twister is great. It's one of my favorites. I loved it as a kid. We'll get into it at some point, probably. Are you guys up for this? You guys down for this?
I'm worried because when you have such a classic like Twister and you try to make another one, it's kind of like, I'm so hesitant when it comes to.
I agree with you on Twister just because, like, you would have thought that movie was huge. It made almost $500 million in 1996. It was huge.
Yeah.
And they never made a sequel. And that's shocking. You would thought they would have fast-tracked a sequel. But it was a one and done, and I kind of appreciate it for that.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I do too. I just, I say this, and they have freaking, Nuclear Tornado 5 out.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's the story in that? But like, they could figure something out anyway.
Yeah.
They could, but yeah, I mean, I'll probably watch it. We'll of course watch it when it comes out, but
Yeah.
I'm
You got to
definitely
see what it's about.
I
definitely.
hope they have a
into
president in that movie who wants to use like a tornado to like nuke a tornado. And
No. That's why Derek isn't directing Twister 2.
Well, you know,
I'm just saying, I would love to see that logic play out on the big
I mean,
screen.
it almost played out in real life, so you never know.
That's true.
Guys, so the Exorcist reboot that David Gordon Green is directing has halted production unexpectedly, looking to resume early next year. Its sources cited an unspecified health issue involving Leslie Odom Jr. Is why it has shut down. And it says that it's an early and not cost insignificant situation. So it's a pretty big deal. What do you guys, I mean, it should be fine. I would assume that it's going to bump back up in production, but are you guys still excited for this prospect of an Exorcist?
I completely forgot about it.
So no for Derek.
I just hope everyone's okay, you know?
Yeah.
I hate to hear that. That's a tough thing for the entire, production to.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so too. This will be the first Exorcist film in theaters since 2005 with Exorcist: The Beginning.
Wow.
So, the last Exorcist property was, of course, on TV, Fox's TV show, which was really good, I thought. I liked it.
So, Jamie, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Just, in case we ever run into an issue where we have to postpone production for a project for a long time, we should negotiate into actors' contracts when we do that they should shave their heads, and then we'll put wigs on them. That way there's no continuity issues with the hair. Really? What do you think?
I mean, it's a possibility. You could also have a hairstylist just cut their hair.
Yeah.
My way is way easier.
Or they could just not even shave their head and wear the wig.
Nah.
That's true, yeah. You don't have to shave your head to wear a wig.
I need commitment.
Mm-hmm. It's in the contract. We're going to have to take your hair.
Gonna have to take your hair. Your hair's got to come off.
Like, I just had a cold.
Sorry, them's the rules. So, here's a bit of news for you, Lydia. You'll like this. I'm going to share my screen. NECA has released a new Lon Chaney's Phantom of the Opera. This is perfect for this episode.
Yes.
And here he is. What do you guys think?
Oh, he looks freaky.
Yeah, it looks incredible, right?
Detail.
Yeah.
You know what I love about this? It's so hardcore. Reminds me of the Munsters movie in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
That's a lot like him.
I like his little jacket. I almost watched this version.
It's a great version. I mean, it's the original.
I've never seen any Phantom of the Opera movies before.
Oh, really? This is the first one you've seen? That's hilarious. Hilarious. Oh, my God.
I had a hard time kind of judging this movie.
That's amazing. Derek, you've seen other Phantom of the Operas, right?
Nope, never seen them.
Oh, really? God, I've seen like 4 different adaptations of this goddamn thing. Okay, we'll get into that in a minute because we also have this news. MGM has acquired the rights to the new Night of the Living Dead movie. It's getting a theatrical release.
Nice.
That's partnered with Chris Romero, George Romero's. So it's with Chris Romero and his Sanibel film, George Romero's Sanibel Films, as the production company behind it. So, it's made with the blessings of the Romero family. Are you guys excited to see another Night of the Living Dead on the big screen?
Yes.
Bring it.
Yeah,
Love
bring it. I
it.
mean, it has a tall order to fill. It has to fill the original classic in the fucking fantastic 1990 remake. And then, of course, there's like 40 other like unauthorized terrible ones out in the world floating around. And then finally, this is the last bit of horror news. There is a Scream trailer out that we will watch after this and talk about it. But they also have the Scream 6 poster. Do you guys want to see the Scream 6 poster?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously.
Obviously. Here we go.
Ooh.
It's a fucking great poster, really, isn't
That
it?
is a nice and scary poster.
What do you think, Derek? Derek, you're muted, I think.
I just hacked up a lung. So I said it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good, I think. I'm excited to.
So detailed. That was some nice work, whoever did that.
Yeah,
Whoever
the
made
fact that he's peeking into the subway window is such a cool concept.
And the reflection and the grunge and the color. Oh, that was too scary for me. I don't like it.
The trailer, which we'll talk about, has it's them, the returning cast in a subway car, and it's Halloween night, so there's a bunch of people dressed up. There's multiple ghost faces on the car.
Great.
Yeah, that's scary. Being stuck in a subway. Ah! Jason did it once. His movie wasn't as good though, probably. We'll talk about that one eventually. But that wraps up the horror news. You're muted, buddy.
No, I said, or maybe it will be because they did get rid of Nev Campbell.
They did. That is true. You're not wrong on that. You're not wrong. All right, guys. This movie, Dwight H. Little's 1989 Phantom of the Opera adaptation, because it's not a remake, it's an adaptation of the source material, of course, with a slasher bent. So Dwight H. Little directed another one of our movies that we enjoy, which is Halloween 4, which is the next Halloween movie we're going to do, actually. So this is his collaboration with Robert Englund. Derek, you picked this one. So this is not your first time seeing it.
Man. I mean, I would say it's not, but like 99% of this movie was, new. Because I haven't seen this movie since I was a kid. This came out in 89.
Yeah.
I probably saw this movie in like 92 to 96, probably. Yeah. I mean, it's been decades. That's terrible to say, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Lydia, this is your first time watching. You didn't even know this movie existed.
I didn't. I don't think I've ever even heard of this. Maybe I did. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't think too much about it. Because Robert Englund as the Phantom kind of sounds like maybe I've heard of that, but I've never even seen or thought of watching this movie before.
I remember the cover art in the movie stores.
Yes,
because the cover art is great. I love it.
Him peeking out from the mask.
Yeah.
It's a very good piece of art. Yeah, that's what I remembered. I haven't seen this movie in just as long. I only remembered. I think I'm wanting to say maybe if I'm pushing it, I watched it around 2000, 1999, 2000, because I remember I watched it when I was real little, like in the 90s, like early 90s, and then I rented it from Blockbuster at like late 99, 2000. I remember watching it because I was going through my horror movies phase, and I always saw the cover, and I was like, you know what, I want to watch that again. But I didn't remember. I only remembered two scenes in this movie. I remembered the catwalk scene, and I remembered the ending. Like, not the whole ending, but I remember the lair, the Phantom's lair. Those are the only two things that I remembered. So everything else in this movie was watching it for the first time.
Yeah, because I only remember two or three things. I remembered the song. I could have
Yeah, the song.
Closely told you what the lyrics were, not verbatim, but
Yeah,
closely.
I remembered a bit of. I remember the melody of the song. Yeah,
But
because
the
the
song
song's
is
really good. Yeah.
the song in the other movies, like the original and like the other like remakes or anything?
No, it's an original composition, but
Okay.
it's like in the similar vein of like Andrew Lloyd. So the most famous version there's two famous versions of Phantom of the Opera. There is the original Lon Chaney one, and then there is Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical that's on Broadway. That's one that people think of when they think of Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
They made the 2004 version of it with Gerard Butler as the Phantom, and that's the most famous version nowadays as far as for younger generations. And I remember watching it, and I mean the singing, and it's good. It's a musical. It's a musical.
Mm-hmm.
The original novel is not a musical; it's a novel. In the original version, silent. So
Right.
So yeah. So yeah, this was like a trip for me because I like completely didn't know any of this, but like I said, it's save for a few scenes and the way he looked. So let's get into it. Where do you guys want to start with this one?
Your interpretation. So is this a movie of reincarnation, or is this a movie of like a spiritual link that she develops when she finds the
I think
composition book?
I think it's reincarnation. I do.
That's what I lean towards as
It
well.
has to be. And here's what's funny so let's talk about the wraparound real fast. Let's talk about the opening and the closing, how they're set in modern day New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 1989.
Yeah, but modern day at that time. Present day New York for them.
Yep.
And so when I was researching this movie, I found out that those were added to the script because they had a sequel in mind.
Mm.
So the script itself is the chunk of the movie, which is takes place in the Victorian times, because that's when the novel takes place, and that's when all the adaptations take place. But they had an idea; they wanted to do a sequel set in modern day New York, so they added the wraparounds to set up for that sequel in modern day New York. So that's why that bit's even there, where she, falls into the mirror and then goes, and we see the whole vision.
Oh my God. A super young Molly Shannon.
She is, yes.
Yes.
This is Molly Shannon's first movie.
When I was watching this, I was like, oh my gosh, it vaguely looks like her, but it sounds just like her.
Yeah.
But I had to go and just double check them.
I did the exact same thing. I saw her, as soon as I saw her, I was like, is that Molly Shannon? And then I'm watching her scenes, and I was like, oh my God. And then I IMDb, and I was like, son of a bitch, it is Molly Shannon.
Yes.
So funny.
I love Molly Shannon. I was so excited to see her in this, and I think she does brilliantly. Like, she does
She's
amazing.
fun. Yeah, she's great in it. Her little screen time she has, she's awesome.
There were a couple of surprise actors in this movie.
I don't think the acting in this movie is bad at all. I think across the board, the acting's very good.
I think I completely agree, because they got I can't think of his name right now, but I will always remember him as what's his face from Underworld.
Bill Nye.
Oh, Bill Nye, yeah.
Yeah.
As he's like
I was very
owner.
excited to see him too.
Yeah.
And he's
Honestly,
so young.
Since we're talking about the acting straight away, I'm just gonna say I was not a fan of the actress.
Oh no, Christine's not the best. She's the weakest actress.
She's
in the movie.
weakest.
Yeah,
part.
She's the weakest part.
I mean, obviously, like whoever that was going to play this part was going to be dubbed.
Yeah, for the singing
during the opera singing, but it was bad.
Yeah, the her
acting. I have a crush on this actress.
No, she's great. It's Jill Schilling.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's good. She's in a bunch of stuff. She's in The Stepfather. She's in Popcorn, of course.
Yep.
Yes, and I'm afraid to criticize her because I don't want any phantoms coming after me. But
yeah, you better be careful. Talk about Christine Day.
So everyone else just outperforms her by so much I couldn't help but bring it up.
Well, let's talk about the best performer in the movie, which is Robert Englund. What do you guys think of Robert as Eric in this, as the Phantom?
He is amazing. He's
God,
amazing.
he's so good in this.
Loved watching him so much.
He's just so fun to watch, right?
Yeah, and just I could listen to him. He's got the best voice.
Yeah.
And early on, like you kind of root for him.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you know, he kills that guy at the beginning, but
you're still rooting for him because you know who he is.
Yeah, like. So when he kills that guy at the catwalks, it's like so bizarre. Like it's so bizarre. It's like, I mean, he kills him because he almost killed Christine, and then he also blamed him for it.
Yeah.
So that's the kill I always remembered. That's the scene I remembered, is him hanging him upside down, and then he stabs him with a knife, and the blood splatters on his face, and he's just like.
That was a kind of a weird scene, also. Like just
it's
that
so
his
weird.
face.
I
like
love
just soaking in that blood spray. I was like, what the?
They had to get that gore in there, baby. Had to get that gore.
Weird. That was weird.
Dude, and when they find him in the closet.
That was also weird.
What do you guys think of that?
He's skinned.
He skinned him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
well, he skinned him because he uses the skin.
Yeah.
I'm confused about how he's like kind of like hung up by his pants or something. Like I don't know what's going on there.
Suspenders or something like that holding him up.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really gross.
It's gross. I was grossed out for sure.
Like,
and the girl, like the diva.
The diva. Oh God, she's the worst.
She like falls down. She's so scared, which I don't blame her for that at all. But then she just starts like choking and like having a heart attack.
Yeah.
But she was fine.
Dude, she's so weird. She's like that character is such a bitch. That character is such a bitch. She's just like, I want Christine Day took down to the chorus.
Yeah. I thought she was fine up until her like having a heart attack or something. Dude. And then she was fine. Like she wasn't having a heart attack. She was just like, I'm ill now.
Yeah, I can't perform.
And she was like choking or something. Yeah, like she was like like that's the noise she makes when she's scared.
Yeah, that's her scared noise.
Like I said, I thought
that was a strange choice.
Yeah, I thought she choked to death.
I thought she just. I was like, did she just die from seeing that guy?
So Christine does the performance and everything, and we get some backstory about how like the one box is reserved for the Phantom, and he always leaves money. Love that, and I love him like watching her. He's like got his face, he's like fixing it, but you can see like the markings where it's like coming off and stuff, and he's just like So here's what's funny. There's a backstory in this that's not in any of the other ones, but he apparently makes a deal with like a little person that is the devil.
Yeah.
That's the worst scene in this movie to me. Go ahead, Lydia.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were going to say.
I don't even mind that like he made a deal with the devil. Like that would be a cool scene, but man, they totally flubbed that up. Like
really
it could have been way more impactful.
Yeah, I think it was like the editing was kind of strange for me. Like they kept like throwing in some other stuff.
And it like had that like waviness to
it. Like just make it what you're trying to make it at least, and not like
the little person who's like, what are you liking? It's just like really weird. You're like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, that's interesting. But we get a little bit of backstory. But I do like the scene of Faust bringing back this memory for him. It's really cool. That because he's like, I did make that deal. And then when she sings, I love him like going along with the notes.
His performance in this scene is great.
Yeah.
I think. I really enjoyed it. I felt like he was really like
moved
and into it. Like his body language, his facial expressions, like everything about it. He really portrayed that well in this scene. I liked it.
Yeah. Do you think that she was really as good as he thought she was, or do you think he just loved her?
Well, I think
was like infatuated with her.
I think it's both because they like the audience
sabotage her.
Yeah, the
audience loved her.
Yeah, the audience loved her, and all the other actors and stuff love her. They think she's great. Yeah. There's just that one critic that's sabotaging her.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I think she is that good, but I also think he's in love with her and infatuated with her that he can't get free.
Well, because you've got there's two angles to this because the theater is co-owned. It's co-owned by what's his face, and then another guy who is actually dating Christine.
Yeah, his name is what the hell is his name? Richard, right? Richard?
Yeah.
Richard.
Mhm.
And so in one scene, like he's telling Christine, like, "Oh, you're great," and they're at dinner and they're sitting across from the other two, and the critic and the other owner are kind of conspiring, like, "Hey, we need our diva.
Yeah, we need her back because she's going to
Yeah.
make us the most money."
Yeah,
Basically, destroy her with her, like, give her a terrible review. So this next scene is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. He goes to a tavern. Eric does, and he's working on his music. He's composing, and he's in like his own little area. He has sex with a prostitute actually before that, and he doesn't kill her, by the way.
yeah, he leaves her a good tip.
Yep, leaves her a tip. So he
Just the tip.
so he goes and is at the tavern, and he's doing his music, and this D-bag's just like, "I'm gonna rob him," like thinks that he has money or whatever. So he decides to like confront him, and Eric basically grabs his hand and says, like, "You won't want to see me," or whatever. So then they're walking in this alley, and I've got to say, I think this movie is beautifully shot. I think there are some like gorgeous moments in it, and this is one of them. When he's walking down the like London-filled alley, and it's all foggy, it looks great, and he's silhouetted with his hat and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they attack him, and he just like kills the two of them and cuts one of the dude's head off with a knife.
Yeah, he does. Straight off.
No, so Jamie and I were talking about this off camera. So this was one of the scenes that I remembered, right? This was one of like the 3 or 4 like little things that I remembered. And I would have bet you money that he used a sword to decapitate this guy. Now, Jamie and I talked about it, and I'm probably getting it confused with a different movie, but like that was my recollection. I thought it was a sword.
Yeah. So
Steady, like cuts that kid with a knife.
With a knife. And then he freaking teleports to the guy.
Yeah.
That really cool.
So he's supernatural because he's got supernatural strength.
Yeah, yeah.
And he can teleports.
Yeah.
Yeah. He rips that dude's heart out.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. It's a good kill.
His heart wasn't in it.
What do you guys think of this scene?
I thought that was a weird kill.
The heart kill?
Yeah, I was like,
you saw him cut a guy's head off with a little knife.
Well, that's cool.
That was cool. Yeah, I was like, oh dang. I got up to like go switch my laundry over. I was doing laundry while I was watching this, and Jake was like, "You got up for 1 minute and you missed like the best like kills in the entire movie." So I had to rewind it and rewatch it. But
we figured it out. So the reason he was able to rip out the dude's hearts, Lydia mentioned this, is probably because he's part of the Thuggy cult from Temple of Doom.
Thuddy Shukti Day?
Yeah. You betrayed Bashima. Or he's a big fan of Mortal Kombat. One of the two.
He should have been a character for sure.
So, yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes because I just love the way it's shot. I think it's beautiful, like the silhouettes and stuff and the fog. I'm like, oh,
I really liked seeing his face when he was in the tavern, and that guy comes up to him and he like grabs his hand with the match and is talking like into the match.
That's so cool. Yeah.
I really liked that scene a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool too. Yeah.
Well, and so like let's talk about the deal that he does make with the devil, even though the scene was pretty terrible. So he wants his music to be famous.
That's
right?
what he wants more than anything.
And so the deal that the devil makes is he will make his music famous, but he will make him hideous and no one will want to see him.
Yes.
And so like it's more or less like his skin is, it feels like it's deteriorating between this, what we're seeing, and then the end of the movie.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And so he's taking the skin of these people that he kills and he is sewing it. That scene where they're sewing, he's sewing the skin on. And there's a scene where he takes off his nose, which also reminded me of like the that comedy with Chevy Chase and
freaking Nothing But Trouble.
Yeah,
dude, he has like an apparatus to have like cartilage for his nose.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's advanced.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I wonder if it was glass. I mean,
I think it was. Glass. It looked glass. Yeah,
that's pretty smart.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And let's talk about that real fast. What do you guys think of his makeup?
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
I
good
don't
though.
mind it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
like
I
it.
don't hate it. It's like you can tell it's makeup, but I mean, at some points it looks really good. At other points, it doesn't look as good.
Yeah, but it's a
But
cool
it's
design,
still,
I think.
it's a cool design, yeah. But I am confused about why he looks different at the end of the film.
I guess he's deteriorating more.
But like, you know,
his
like
face gets pulled off?
yeah, it's like, well, because like
at the
when
very end of
he's-
the movie. That's because it's like, 200 years later.
I mostly mean like his face shape, I think. Because like in, back in time, he's got these like cheekbones and like,
And those
you
might
know,
have
like
been
his
prosthetics.
features are like super like prominent, and then like and then he starts to look more like Robert Englund at the end.
I
like
think
it's
that's
less
why,
prosthetic.
so that way we can let him look like Robert Englund is probably the real reason.
Yeah, they're just like,
Well,
just
and the
we'll just
fact
have
that-
your face at the end.
Yeah, and the fact that he's like out in the world because he is like one of the producers, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's not hiding in the shadows anymore.
And
Yeah.
he's also
He
got
comes
way more
down.
advanced masks and stuff too.
I love
Yeah.
the advancement.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So great. I want to talk about when he kills the critic.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I love this one. And by the way, man, why are like public baths a thing? Maybe I'm small-minded here, but like
I
that
was
is
thinking
just
the
a weird,
same thing. I
weird
was like,
thing.
is this like a bathhouse?
I was like, man, they were weird back in the old days.
Well, I still have
Yeah.
bathhouses depending on
Yeah.
the culture, but
I was
like,
it's a
I
strange thing.
don't know anything about bathhouse culture, and I'm just like, was that really necessary?
That's how they did it. Just walked around, and he's like, more steam?
Sure.
By all means.
So this is actually a cool scene because I love the fact that he gives him a choice.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure you won't reconsider? Because I was there, I saw this performance, or did we see the same performance? And the guy just continued to bash her, and so he decided to bash him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very, very blatant.
Mhm.
Yeah, he kills-
Although that death was also kind of weird, in my opinion. Of
yeah.
him putting the towel around his head and his eyes exploded or something.
That's cool.
Please,
That's
man,
a super
yeah.
strength. That's his supernatural strength. I like that because it like just crushes his whole face.
It was a little, it was a
Throws him
little
against
strange.
the wall.
Yeah.
Cracks the tile.
Yeah, that's good stuff. You see it explode.
Me and Jake both looked at each other and were like, what just happened with that? Why did blood just come out of his face?
That was cool.
Yeah.
So then he finally. I like the scene where Christine, where we see Christine's like been talking to the fandom, and we just see him like in the window and
Oh yeah,
and
like
his
the
eyes.
shadow. Yeah.
That is awesome. I love that
Yeah.
a lot.
That's
I
at
was
the
like,
beginning, yeah.
yeah, I was like, this is fucking really good.
And that's what he
Really
really
good.
inspired, because he tells her, like, because she's practicing and he's coaching her.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, no, do it again. And she does it again. And he was like, you're ready. You'll do it tonight.
Yeah.
So he's been conspiring against the diva, which, by the way, interesting to know. I don't know how accurate it is for the period, but if that's where that term came from,
It is.
that would
Yeah.
be fascinating.
Yeah, that's what that's where it comes from. Opera.
It
That's
all
what-
makes
the lead
sense
is a
now.
diva. Yeah. So that seems great. I love that. And then she meets with him, and like he takes her in, and he takes her down to his
The bowels.
to his like lair.
His
And
lair.
he plays the song, and this seems really great when she tells him to play something for one of his pieces, and he plays the piece of Don Juan Triumphant, and she knows the words,
Mm-hmm.
and she's singing it, and he starts to cry.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's a
that was
very
good.
nuanced thing.
Yeah, it's very cool. He's like, "How do you know the words to the song?" She's like, "I don't know." He's like, I just wrote it. Like, I don't. How do you know that? And it's almost like he's
seen this.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then he, flips the switch, and he's like, you can either love the music, or somebody else. And
That's, yeah.
then
So
she's like,
I love the dialogue here.
yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Well, because he says you can't serve two masters,
Yeah,
which I love that dialogue. It's really good. And then he says, what I'm trying to remember it. It's you can either love the music or love the man, maybe.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's something like that. Yeah. And so she picks to love the music, and he freaking slips a ring on her that
Yeah.
won't come off. And
so you're right. This is the turning point because up until this point, like I'm still rooting for him.
I mean, besides all the murders.
You know, I mean, what has he really? What has he really done?
I mean, we do root for the shape, but you know that's different.
You know, those guys at the bar, they deserved it.
They definitely did.
And the other guy tried to blame him for something he didn't do.
That one's a little less. That one's a little tackier.
But I'm rooting for him up until this point because this is where he like really turns because it almost is playing like these star-crossed lovers, like they're made for each other.
Yeah,
yeah. It just kind of seemed that way because she knows the words to the song,
and that's the story. That's what it's supposed to build up to. But that's not the case because she is in love with another man, and he is bad to the core. You know. He's not
That's
good.
kind of confusing to me.
Sell your soul to the devil. What do you expect?
Yeah. And he's basically gone mad is what it boils down to. And so the next scene is the party scene where we see him dressed in the Mask of Red Death.
Love this scene.
Love this scene too. It's great. I like the inspector going around trying to figure stuff out at the same time as we have Christine and Richard meeting up to kind of talk, and he's floating around in this red Mask of the Red Death costume. And I love when the one person's like, "I gotta see who you are," and reaches for him and he goes, "No, you don't."
It's the
puts him on the ground.
Yeah, no, the diva's later.
Yeah, the diva is later. Yeah.
The guy, he just grabs his hand and pushes him to the ground. And is like, "No, you don't." And I was like, "Nice."
That's like a straight up like self-defense move where you can just grab someone by the hand and just put them on the ground.
Crushes them. Yeah,
I've done that before.
So then he dances with the diva.
Whoa! Time out. Did you say you've done that before?
Yeah. I learned that trick of just putting someone on the ground real quick.
There you go.
I've done it to Jake.
Is there something we gotta know about Jake?
See, like, come at me. You might end up on the ground.
Come at me, bro. So he cuts. So the diva, basically, the other owner is like basically coming on the diva saying, "Hey, let's consummate our relationship, and that way you'll be the diva here," and basically trying to sleep with her to get like what he wants from her. And then Eric just cuts in and starts dancing with her, and she's like completely turned on by him because he's charming and he's in this great costume.
Oh yeah.
And
Face
then
wasn't peeling off.
Great dancer.
Yeah, great dancer. I love it. They spin into that room and she's like, "What do you think will happen when I see your face?" And he says, "I think you'll die for it."
Oh no, I think he
goes, "You'll just die.
You'll just die."
Yeah.
You'll just die.
And I was like,
because you have heart attacks really easily when you're frightened. So
yeah. So then we find out that he cut her head off and threw it in the soup.
Yes. That guy, oh my gosh.
That's
great. That soup. The guy ladles it out and is like struggling. Like, don't you think you'd be like a little confused of what you're picking up that's so heavy?
This is not what I meant when I said I wanted a little head.
Who put this bowling ball in here?
Yeah, like what the fuck would be in there? That's some heavy soup.
Yeah, he just holds it for a minute. It's a great head, though. It's a great effect.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Eye. Oh, the eye was all white.
Good stuff. And then he kidnaps Christine and takes off. So we get like the big final chase. There's like this weird little rat guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That like keeps the rats at bay. So Eric pays him to keep the rats at bay and to keep his mouth shut. And he hears Christine and Eric singing, so he knows that they're going there. So he tells the inspector, "I know where they're going." And so they give chase, the inspector, Richard, and two other officers. And the other officers don't fare too well.
Nope.
What do you think of their deaths?
The one, so he leads the one through like a maze, and he ends up shooting the other guy, but the other guy got his throat slit.
Yeah, slices his throat.
And so at first I was like, "Oh man, you just killed your buddy." And I was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. His throat was slit."
Yeah, he's already dead. He's already
I was
dead.
like, that would still be really hard to deal with. So
Well, it doesn't. He doesn't have to live with it for very long.
yeah, he's like, that's a good point.
And I actually forget how
He
he
doesn't know that.
dies.
How does that second officer die, Lydia?
I don't know. Honestly, I get really distracted when I see rats because I love rats so much. And I'm just like, I just get like starstruck when I see little rats running around in sewer scenes like this.
Lydia.
I'm not even kidding. Every single
You're
time.
one of a kind.
I have to like hold back from saying it, but I call rats little poopy bears.
Oh my god!
And most animals I call little poopy bears. So I'm like, I'm holding back like the whole movie, and I finally just, it comes out, and I was just like, look at the little poopy bear.
Most people are disturbed by rats.
They're so
That's
cute.
why they're in these movies.
Well, especially when they're like obviously like not
Domesticated
sewer
rats.
Yeah, they're like
domesticated
obviously
rats,
like
yeah.
somebody's, you know, raising those rats to be in these movies. I'm like,
So
they're
Lydia,
probably so sweet and cute.
I've got to ask you this. Is your favorite character from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe the Rat King?
Splinter,
It's Splinter,
obviously.
dude.
Oh, Splinter. Yeah, that was the most obvious choice, and I messed it up. But there is a
Come
Rat
on,
King,
Derek.
so you probably like him too.
Nobody likes a Rat King. He's a dirty motherfucker.
Might put a picture of me and my rat up.
Yeah.
So
I'll-
just for the love.
I'm gonna Photoshop you as the Rat King.
No.
Do it. Do it.
So the rat catcher gets impaled.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he does. Yeah.
Derek, you're muted.
I feel like that would be my role in this movie. It would be like the rat catcher for sure.
Yeah.
Well, he betrayed him.
Yeah, he betrayed him. So he's like, you won't. He says something along the lines of like,
No,
you need
won't.
me to keep the rats at bay, or else they'll
Mhm.
come for you. You won't kill me. And then he like says, well, then lead them forever.
Yeah.
Like slams
For
him on
eternity.
Yeah, like impales him. And then when we see him, the rats have eaten his face off.
Yep. The
It's
little
good stuff.
poopy bears
Little pee bears,
Yeah.
they're so cute.
Ripping his face right off.
eating his face off.
So I love this showdown between with the Phantom and her, because I like when he says, she's asking him if he's going to kill her, and he said this could either be a funeral march or wedding song.
And then he just slams down on all the
God,
keys.
it's so cool though. It's so dramatic and awesome. I love it. Yeah, this is either a wedding march or a funeral mass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
I'm into it.
I was like, these are a lot of notes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. So old boy tries to fight him and ends up getting his ass beat. Richard.
He puts up a better fight than
Yeah,
most,
he puts
but
up a pretty good fight, I would say.
Yeah, but then he gets stabbed.
He almost gets him.
And then he gets caught on fire.
I mean, I didn't expect him to win.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I kind of almost did. I kind of felt
Yeah.
bad at his death, honestly.
Yeah.
I felt bad.
But we don't technically know if he dies because we don't see what happens in the aftermath. But he catches on fire, so it's a pretty good chance.
Yeah, he got stabbed real deep right in the stomach. And back then,
Yeah.
that's pretty fatal.
Well, and the Phantom gets the
I
shit
mean, the
shot out of
flu
him by
was
the
fatal back then.
Yeah, that's true. The Phantom gets shot multiple times by the inspector. And then he crashes into the mirror. And once the mirror crashes is when Christine wakes up. Modern day Christine.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, wow, okay, And she's like trying to wake up and everybody's around her. Hey, are you okay? And that's when Robert Englund shows up in front of her. And he's like, oh, dear, I hope everything's all right. And he's like all meek and, bookish.
So sweet.
He's like, I'm actually the producer of this show. Come up. And then he's like, do you want to go grab a drink before we go to the party? I'll get you, it'll be fun. And he's like, you got the part. She's like, oh my God, yeah. So she goes to his super ass fucking 80s apartment.
So weird. So weird.
But
If you're
it's so
80s
cool, man.
rich.
So
80s
that's
rich.
80s rich. You're right, Derek. So
Yeah.
80s rich.
To just have some like giant objects hanging from things, and
Just
it makes
random
no
sculptures.
sense.
Wait.
No sense at all.
So before, so this, the way we go back in time, because we didn't really mention that, was somebody drops something and breaks a mirror, and she like falls down and presumably gets knocked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then wakes up in the past, or her character.
Well, we don't even wake up in the past. We're just transported to the past.
There you go.
We don't have her waking up and being like, where am I? Because she's not the same person.
Yeah.
She's remembering all this stuff.
Yep. There you go. And so like the one thing, so she starts to sing this song, which I don't think we really gave the backstory to this. They're searching for a piece to sing because she really wants this job in this production. And they find this like super old manuscript, or whatever it's called. And so she starts to sing it, and there's a noise like somebody dropped something.
Yeah.
It was kind of subtle, but I feel like that would have been Robert Englund's.
It's Eric. Yeah. It's
realizing
Eric.
that she's come back to him.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of subtle, but I liked the subtleness of it.
Yeah, and also when we start to, because she finds it, and we get like a backstory where he's like, this is Eric, he was a serial killer. It's Eric Dessler. He was a serial killer in the 1800s or whatever, and he murdered these people, and then he never finished this. This is an unfinished piece. So
now, was he a serial killer because he got turned into the Phantom of the Opera? Or he predating that?
Basically, once he started going gross, I'm assuming that he just was killing people all through. That's why everybody's afraid of the Phantom. Is what I would guess. That's the bit. Okay. So, yeah, when she goes into into his house in 1989, and she sees this high-tech equipment, and she's like,
the floppy disks.
Yeah, she's like, Don Juan Triumphant, and then she sees like the floppy disk. She's like, no way. Puts it in, and it starts. Do 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 do. And it's like on the fucking synth, like all of it comes live. She's like, better turn it off before. It's like he definitely heard that.
Yeah,
it's very loud.
Yeah.
So he comes down and he's like, basically just immediately like, yeah, I'm me.
Because
we see him upstairs. He goes, oh, and he pulls off his new faces that he has. In the high-tech faces, Lydia, that you wanted to talk about.
Yes. He opens this little case that's like a surgical. He's got little tools and scissors and knives and scalpels and
new faces.
3 brand new, pristine faces of Robert Englund's.
Yeah. So he just puts on his face. He goes down and he talks to her, and basically he's like, I've been waiting for you to come back to me. And she like pretends like she's given in to him, and then she just rips his fucking face off.
Yeah, she does.
Just rips his face off, and he's like,
love it.
Ah! And earlier in the movie, they said that maybe the only way to kill the Phantom is to destroy his music.
Yeah.
So she takes the floppies, and she takes the written paper, and she runs down after she catches the place up on fire or whatever, runs down and starts, because she stabs him, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like deep.
Stabs him pretty good.
And he's like laying there, and he's like got his face ripped off. He's like, ah! And she rips up the pages, and he goes, no! And then she throws him down the sewer, and presumably he dies.
So you want to know how I know that he wasn't dead?
Well, because of the ending?
No. There's still a piece of his music. It's the original art, the original that they...
Yeah.
Molly Shannon has that copy.
Yeah. But also because at the end, she's walking away, and a mysterious figure steps out of the shadows playing Don Juan Triumphant.
Yes.
On the
I
violin.
love that.
So cool. And he's playing it, and then she stops and looks, and then she just keeps walking.
So not at first, because he was playing something else, and she like gave him money because she's a lover of the arts, and so she's supporting this guy, and then he like steps out and then starts playing. You're like, yeah,
the Phantom lives,
still kicking.
And then we end, and that is
Robbie E.
Robbie E. That is the Phantom of the Opera. So, guys, what do you guys think of this movie? Derek, let's start with you.
So it exceeded my expectations. I picked this movie, but I didn't. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, to be honest with you. I knew that I had, vague memories of a few scenes from when I was younger, but I loved the actors in this. She was the weakest actress or actor in this movie. I will 100% agree with you, but I also don't think that she did the worst job. That
you have a crush on her, though, Derek.
I might have a biased perspective on that.
You're the Phantom. You're the fucking Phantom, aren't you?
Could be.
If I get murdered for criticizing
Lock
her
your
acting.
doors, Lydia. But I love the actors in this movie. Like, there are a lot of really good actors. There are a lot of really good scenes in this movie. I love a lot of the dialogue. Some of it's super clever. There's not a ton of one-liners, but the ones that are like really stick.
I do like when he kills. I didn't mention when he kills the guy in the catwalks. He said, "You're suspended."
Yeah. All right. There's one.
Yeah.
There was one that didn't stick very well.
I love that one. It made me laugh. I was like, "Yes." I can just imagine if Arnold said it. You're suspended.
Yeah. But I enjoyed this movie a lot. I hope that I get a copy of this one day, and I'm gonna give this movie a solid 7.5. I enjoyed it.
Lydia.
I think I'm going to give this movie a 5.5. I do enjoy talking to you guys about it, but I don't think this is one that I would probably ever try to watch again. I'm glad we did it. I had a fun experience, but it's not my favorite. It's fun though. It's fine, I would say. I got chills a couple times, honestly. Like I didn't hate watching it. I'll say that.
You made me break out the Popeye face. All right,
I'm gonna give it a 7 as well, because I had a lot of fun with it. Like way more than I thought I was going to. I was expecting very well to give this movie a 4 or 5.
Yeah,
and I was expecting the same thing.
And I was thinking my 5 was going to be purely because of Robert Englund. Like I was going to be like, yeah, it's 5 because he's great in it. But as I rewatched it, I had a lot of fun with it. There's some stuff that is wonky in it, and I'm not going to say it's like, I'm not giving it a 7 because of its quality, but the stuff that does work and the fun I had watching it, I would recommend this to somebody to see. Because I was like, hey, do you like Phantom of the Opera? Great. Do you like slasher movies? Great. I've got the movie just for you. It is Freddy as the Phantom of the Opera. Like, it's just, of course. Yeah. And so I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. I think that the music's pretty good. The score is pretty good. I think that the direction's really good, actually. The cinematography is great in it, I think. Has some really great shots. And I think the performances throughout are pretty strong. And I think Robert is great in this. This is like one of those lost Robert Englund roles where it's like he elevates every movie he's in. He's always the best part of these movies. But this one, like, the movie met him more than halfway to give you like a quality watch.
So I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
And I am not a connoisseur of all the movies that he's watched, but like I felt like he had a lot of like range in this movie. Like a lot of times when he's Freddy, like he's Freddy, right?
When he's Freddy. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I really loved that this movie gave him a little bit of leeway to explore some of the one scene that comes to mind is whenever he's watching the performance and just there's no words and he's just reacting to it and you feel his passion and his love for the music. Yeah, and it's really good.
Yeah, Robert's a classically trained actor. I mean, he's a classically trained actor. That's what he did. And then he just, became Freddy Krueger and he became a horror icon. He has the chops. He has all of the chops. He can do anything.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Oh my gosh, he's so cool. Yeah. I bet it was fun to film.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Here's what's crazy about this. So I talked about the sequel, the canceled sequel. They were talking about it. The movie ran out of money because this was originally going to be a Cannon movie. You guys remember Cannon? From the 80s film company Cannon that made like Delta Force and Missing in Action and all of those. They went bankrupt, and so they split. And one of them, one of the producers, Mayhem Golan, he made this movie, but they ran out of money, so they were like, trying to struggle with the budget, and so when this movie underperformed at the box office, it made like $4 million, which in 1989 is solid, but made about $4 million. But they had a sequel built up, and apparently the script was written for the sequel. Robert said that the script was, was going to be even better because it took place in New York and all this cool stuff. But supposedly bits and pieces of it were actually rewritten for Englund's 1992 movie, Dance Macabre. So we'll have to do that one eventually and see if we can see the seeds of the Phantom in that.
Definitely,
so that'd be pretty interesting.
I do think that this movie would have probably been like some of those scenes that we talked about, like the devil one. Man, that one just really takes me out.
Yeah.
But like if they would have had a little bit more of a budget, I would have loved to have seen what this movie could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks great for the budget that they had.
Well, did you guys not even flinch at the dubbed opera over that girl?
Dude,
I didn't.
That took me out.
I was in it. Lydia.
I knew, so I wasn't worried about that.
There was a couple parts where I was like,
I wasn't worried about that because I expected that to be dubbed, and I watch plenty of movies where there's dubbing and it's fine. I mean, I grew up with James Bond movies where literally all the females were dubbed.
Oh god,
the female leads because they didn't speak fluent English or they had thick accents because of these exotic, beautiful women. So that doesn't bother me. In the Bond movies, they're done way better.
Yeah, I think like
movies, but
there were only a couple parts where it did take me out, and one of the scenes, she like starts before the voice starts or something. Like it was like off by like a second.
The only one
that's noticeable.
Yeah, that's an editing mistake. That's not her fault. Yeah.
The first time she starts to sing, when another woman's voice comes out, I was like, oh. Like that is clearly not her doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. You're stretching if you're wanting to find an actress that's going to be in a slash movie that's also a trained opera singer.
Well,
I
could have done it.
Good luck. Oh yeah, Lydia. No offense, but I remember filming Hookman.
I couldn't remember a single line.
You know what I remember most about that? Like you said it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah,
when you weren't on camera.
Yeah.
And we all stopped and was like, what?
If you guys
nailed it. I was like, yeah, just like that.
If you guys needed me to sing opera at Cookman, I would have been there. Okay.
Yeah, you'd have been on. You missed. No, I missed out. That's what the problem was. I didn't write the part correctly. I should have wrote it as an opera singer.
You know what's really funny?
An opera singing DNR agent, of course.
Yes, exactly.
What is going on here? I'm sure there is.
So the funny thing is, I loathe musicals. I don't like them whatsoever. And so, like, there was whenever they're in the opera house, and this is right whenever she's singing and he's reacting to the performance. Like my phone messed up. I had to watch that scene like 4 times, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't do it with the singing, man.
And opera,
it's just because I hate.
Opera is just a different animal too.
It's definitely different. It's something that you have to be into.
Yeah, it's confusing when you're just not an opera person.
In a foreign language.
Yeah.
Usually it's in Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not very catchy,
Yeah. There are these notes and all this stuff like this. It's definitely an artsy thing. It's something that is above our pay grade on screen bloody movies.
Yeah, oh for sure. But I did really enjoy just listening, when I wasn't watching the voice come out.
Well, yeah, the opera singer was amazing.
The opera singer sounded fantastic. Gave me chills a couple times. So.
Dude, and I think that composition of Don Juan Triumphant sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, you muted, by the way, buddy.
Whatever.
Is that the 3rd or 4th time?
Yeah, this season's starting off strong with the Derek mutes.
But I'm super like phlegmy and my throat hurts. So
you are the flimster.
I am the flimster.
Phlegmy fella.
I'm coming out with a line of vitamins here pretty soon. The kids, the flimsters kids. Anyway, Lydia, how do you know that wasn't actually her singing? You don't know that.
I
for
do know.
Sure.
I do know.
Derek,
I do know.
Let
I'm
me see who
classically
did the
trained,
singing
and I
in
can
it.
tell.
Classical. Jesus Christ.
I'm a voice actor. I've never been, I did some voiceovers for your guys' last film, and I didn't make it in, but I did them. Okay.
You did do it. That's true. I was hoping I could see who sang the opera parts. I'll probably have to just go through the. Oh, Nancy Fontana is the singing voice of Christine. It's right here. Sorry, Derek.
All right, so I was wrong, but it was probably really close.
She's still great in Popcorn, right, Derek?
That's right.
This was also giving me some Popcorn flashbacks.
Oh no, this is way better than Popcorn.
It's way better.
Way
what did I
better.
give Popcorn?
Dude, she was
now
in
I'm
a
curious
movie.
what I gave Popcorn.
You gave Popcorn a 1, I think.
You did give Popcorn
something
a
really
1.
low.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
we were looking it up the other day.
Yeah.
She's in a movie called When a Stranger. It's one of the adaptations of When a Stranger Calls.
We might have to do that one just because she's
in
a
the sequel,
staple of our podcast at this point.
When a Stranger Calls Back is what she's in.
Yeah.
And she's also in The Stepfather, which is one we'll have to do eventually as well.
Yeah, it might be our next one. You don't know.
Well, I do know because Lydia's. No, I'm picking next, actually.
I meant like the next one I pick. You don't know.
Oh, okay. I was like, I do know because I'm not doing that. And so that wraps up. Anything else you guys want to talk about at this one?
We got to talk about who Tom Atkins would play.
Yeah, but I meant about the actual movie.
No, I have no further thoughts on this movie.
Call it a wrap.
All right. Then let's get into our favorite part of Screen Bloody Movies, and let's aconize this movie.
Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me.
Detective, thrill me.
Who would Tom Atkins play in this? And I know we're going to say the inspector, right?
The inspector.
I don't know if that would work though, because they're all British, except for her. She's an American actress.
Well,
he can do whatever.
He can do British.
He can do
Come
British
on.
accents.
Anybody can do a British accent.
He's Tom Atkins.
I mean, I can do a British accent, Lydia, but that doesn't make it good.
That's true. Let's hear your British accent, Derek.
I can't. I'm sick. You'll have to get me next week.
Okay.
He needs to practice for a whole
Next
week.
Next week we'll give you. Who would Tom Atkins play? I say the inspector. That's the only part I can think of that would be worthy of him. Because the inspector's actually a good part, I think.
He is. We didn't talk about him a lot, but yeah.
No, yeah.
Or the lover.
I mean, he could be him too, but he gets punked out at the end. Tom Atkins doesn't do that shit.
I don't think. Does anybody make it through this movie?
The inspector lives, presumably. And Christine, I don't know if she dies down there, if that whole thing catches fire. We don't know. Presumably that would have got answered in the sequel. You know, whatever.
Sorry, I forgot to mute myself.
Yeah, that was really weird sounding, man.
That's why Derek's muted every 5 seconds.
Because he's
He just likes having weird sounds.
That was a weird ass sound.
You should hear me burp, Lydia.
Oh, his
You've
burp
heard me
is
burp.
special. The sequel was going to be called, by the way, The Phantom of the Opera 2, Terror in Manhattan.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's a terrible name.
Not a great title. But I would have called it Phantom Takes Manhattan.
Right? Ugh.
All right, guys.
So the inspector, I guess. Yeah.
Inspector.
We're going to just go with that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's my turn to pick what we're watching next week, and I forgot to do that.
Jamie.
I know.
Shame.
Forgot it was my turn.
We always do this. Like, I think every one of us has been doing this.
I know, I forgot. But don't worry, because I have a couple. What, Derek?
I was going to say, we have never done a Sasquatch movie.
And
Good
that will
suggestion.
that streak will continue this week.
A Sasquatch movie. Okay.
Yeah, we should make one called Bigfoot, The World Beyond.
Derek.
What is it called? The World Beyond?
It's a
Why wouldn't it be
apocalyptic
called The
Does it
World
have
Beyond?
Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's
And
Bigfoot
Gabriel's in it?
Sequel.
set in post-apocalyptic world.
And Gabriel's in it?
Yeah, you can throw him in there.
And the phone tower.
In phone tower. With alien.
Can you picture it?
I can.
This movie is getting better and better as we go.
speak. Okay, fine. You know what? We're going to do Barbarian.
Oh shit!
Like Conan.
No, not like Conan. The new horror movie, Barbarian. It's on HBO Max.
I think I've seen an advertisement for it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is available on HBO Max. The 2022's Barbarian, starring Bill Skarsgård, Justin Long, Georgina Campbell. Zach Kreger, of course, is the writer and director of it. So that is the movie we are watching next week.
Yay.
The other one I almost picked.
Zach Kreger.
I know. I almost did
That son of a bitch.
I almost did Army of Darkness, but we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one a little later in the season. So Barbarian next week. What do you guys think? You excited?
I'm
I know
excited.
you
Wait,
are.
we haven't done Evil Dead 2, have we?
No, we have not. Ooh.
Mm.
We'll get to that one. That's got to be in the near future.
Yes.
Yes. So, Barbarian next week. Derek, do you have a story for us tonight?
Oh my gosh. Have I ever told you guys the time that Jay told me he was going to rob a bank?
No. Tell it.
Oh,
Dude,
oh gosh.
this is hilarious. I mean, this you could just foreshadow his life because he's just telling me this like when he was 14 or 15. Anyway, he's like, man, I could probably. So, also some context here. My brother was like 400 pounds, which I think I've established in previous episodes. Like when we were younger, he was like so big, and so he was once like, man, I'm gonna rob a bank. And I'm going to get away on a bicycle and I'm going to ride through the cornfield because the cops can't go get me. And I'm like, Jay, you're not going to make it down the block. What are you talking about? Through a cornfield? I was like, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard, man.
Oh my God.
You big dreams.
He did. You know what? Speaking of cornfield, I'll tell this story. I don't know if I've told it. I might have. If it is, we'll cut it out. But when I was in grade school, I had a kid in my class. His name was Adam. And we were in art class. I'll never forget it. We were in art class one day, just working. And, doing our projects. And somehow we started talking about Jason. And we were like, oh, yeah, talking about the Jason movies. And Adam's like, yeah, he attacked us one time. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, Jason attacked us. I said, what are you talking about? I said, Adam, Jason's not real. He's a fake character. He's a movie character. I like him, but he's not real. He's like, no, he's real. He attacked us one time. He attacked my mom. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he attacked us. And luckily, he came in and he busted in the house and she went to the cabinet. Luckily, she had a can of corn. She threw a can of corn at him and he ran away because Jason hates corn.
What?
And I was I was like,
what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? What does this even mean? So I never forgot that. That established that this kid was a compulsive liar, but I was like, never forgot that.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 2004, 2003, 2004, we're watching Freddy vs. Jason for the first time. And there's that party in the cornfield.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason comes in and starts killing kids. And I, in the theater, I said, now this is bullshit. Jason's afraid of corn. He would never be in that cornfield.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Do you guys need me to tell a cornfield story?
Tell one.
If you got one.
All right, I got one. It's not horror related, but one time I lived out in the country, like surrounded by cornfields. So I probably have a few cornfield stories. But anyways, so me and my stepbrother crossed this cornfield to it's like they just took all the corn down. It's all like just mud, and we're like trekking across to get to the woods. That's just what you do when you're in the country. You go explore in the woods a little bit. So for whatever reason, we're like, oh, we have to get back. Like we're like, let's race across the cornfield. And so we take off, it's one of those like classic where you like, trick them and just take off before they're ready. So we're running, and he's way faster than me and probably in better shape. But so we're running and we're like neck and neck, just hauling butt across this cornfield. And we're like laughing, whatever. I'm saying something, and I look over, he's next to me, and then I'm running, and I look over, and then he's just gone. And I was like, what? And I'm running, and I'm like, I look back, and it fell flat on his face in the mud, like the clay that's like a field, and he lifts up, and his face is just mud. I have never laughed so hard in my whole life. It was the funniest thing I have ever seen. Him just not being there all of a sudden was so cartoony.
Raises up. That's great.
That's probably the only race I've ever won in my life too.
Hey, get them when you can, man. That's what I say. All right, that will wrap up this season premiere of Screen Bloody Movies. That's season 3, guys. Lucky number 3. It's supposed to be 7, but we're not there yet. We'll get there in several years. So thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Click that like button. Helps us with the algorithm. Comment down below on your suggestions for future movies. Do you have any corn stories you want to tell us? Because that's this episode, the corn stories. You can find us online. You can find us at HiLaProductions.com. You can find us on Instagram at Screen Bloody Movies. You can find us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. And you can find us each on Twitter. You can find Derek at DDoglyMaster. Find Lydia at Lydia is Spooky, and you can find me at Racket. So until next week, Happy New Year, and we'll see you then. So for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.